Good afternoon. This is Crocker's Crazy Livin'. Coming on today, it is Saturday. It's almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I am going to be doing a canned barbecue pork, pulled barbecue pork recipe. It's in this canning book. I just got this brand new bulk canning book. And if you're interested in canning at all, it's really helpful if you get a canning book, because not only does it have a lot of information in it, it has step-by-step instructions, it has beautiful colored pictures, and lots of recipes, and just excellent information. So the recipe that we're going to be doing is barbecue pork, pulled barbecue pork. It requires that I pressure can it, so I have not pressure canned in years. So I got my pressure canner out and I got it all cleaned up, and we're going to give it a whirl. Washed the seal, the rubber seal inside the lid really well, so I'm hoping that that is still intact and it'll give me a good pressure. So we're going to get started on this. I'm going to gather my ingredients for the sauce and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So got all my things together. I'm going to try to do this stuff with my book on the table without getting my book all messed up. I should get some plastic sleeves to put over my book. Okay, so it calls for 1.5 cups of chopped onion, about 1 large. So I'm going to double my recipe because I have 2 Boston pork butts to cut up for this recipe. So I am going to double the sauce recipe so I have enough to do all the pork that I purchased. These are just sweet onions. I love to use sweet onions. You can use any onion you want. It doesn't specify any particular onion. You could use yellow onions, white onions. I tend to like the sweet onion. The sweet onions are not hot and they don't burn your eyes really bad like yellow onions or white onions. They're hot. They kind of burn your eyes when you cut them. Piece of onion go. Oh, right there, I just stepped on it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to put, this is only half my onion. Onion is on the fresh side. Wants to fall apart on me. said sweet onion when I bought it, but you know, it's making my eyes kind of water. It said sweet onion, so I don't know. Alright, there's one onion chopped up. I'm going to go ahead and pause you and I'll get this other one chopped up. I don't want to bore you with that. Okay, I'm back. Got my 2 onions chopped up here. It calls for 1.5 cups of ketchup.
Tell me your eyes are burning.
Huh?
Tell me your eyes are burning.
Yeah, my eyes are burning. That was sweet onion too, and they're burning, so I don't know. It said sweet onion when I bought it. Okay, 1.5 cups of ketchup. One and a half is 3 cups of ketchup. I didn't buy an expensive brand of ketchup either. I bought cheap ketchup. Alright, that's going to have to sit upside down. Where's my lid? Oh, that's not the lid to the ketchup. I didn't have a... Where's the lid? That's weird. What did I do to the lid to the ketchup? All right, 3 cups of ketchup. All right, 1/2 cup of firmly packed brown sugar. So I'm going to do 1/2 cup. I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to do 1/2 cup of dark brown sugar and 1/2 cup of light brown sugar, just to kind of change it up a little bit. There's 1/2 cup of dark brown. Half a cup of light brown. What else? 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, so that's going to be 1/2 cup of vinegar. 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. Maybe 4 tablespoons of Worcestershire. Two tablespoons of brown mustard. Well, I didn't buy brown mustard, so I have just regular yellow mustard here. I'm going to use yellow mustard. Remember when you used to buy mustard in jars? You can't buy it in jars anymore. It's even hard to find it in bulk. So 4 tablespoons of mustard. Okay. And 2 tablespoons of honey. 4 tablespoons of honey. Making a mess with that honey. Now what did I do? Cat to that? That's gonna be the honey. Yep, that's the honey cap. All right. And then it calls for 3 cloves of minced garlic. I'm going to do 6 cloves of garlic here in my garlic press. Favorite tool of all time. That was an extra big clove. It kind of squirted out. All right, that's it for this sauce. Stir this all together. Okay, I got my book wet. Stir together all the ingredients except for the pork in a 6-quart stainless steel or enamel Dutch oven till blended. Add pork, turning to coat, bring to a boil, reduce heat, and simmer for 5 minutes. Okay, so we're just going to set that aside, and I'm going to go ahead and prepare. Oh, here's my ketchup lid. Strange. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get my pork out, and I will show you how I'm going to cut my pork. I'll be right back. Okay, so here I have, the recipe calls for 4 to 5 pound boneless pork butt. But because I'm making extra, I got 2, and they were $2.94 a pound. That's about the cheapest I have found it. One is a little over 7 pounds. This one is 6.5 pounds. So I'm going to go ahead and get these opened up, and I'm going to rinse them off, and then I'm going to come back and show you how I'm going to cut them up for this recipe. Okay, this happens to be a Smithfield brand as well. So here it is. I should put this in my smoker. I'm just gonna, it says to cut it into large chunks. I think I'm gonna try to trim some of this fat off of here. I didn't say to trim fat, but I think I'm going to. Trying very hard not to hurt myself. I did with the brisket. Okay. It just seemed like there was some big pieces of fat there I didn't want. She did not, the other girl that I saw did not do anything with hers, but hers looked pretty lean at the same time. Hers looked very, very lean. From what I can see on the camera. Okay. So I'm just going to take it and just cut it into chunks. The recipe did say large chunks, but I'm not into big, huge chunks. I want to get as many in my jar as I can. And I have pint jars today. I do not have, I'm not using quarts, I'm using pints for this. get a separate container to put this in. I'm going to just put it in my pot here as I go, because that way it'll help me gauge how full it is. All right, so as you can see, I am just cutting this into chunks. I've got this big old piece of meat here to do, so I'm going to come back when it's all cut up and I'll show you the next step. Okay, I got all that cut up. I have this much fat that I cut off because I just decided I don't want all that fat on my meat. It's quite a bit. Alright, so here is my Dutch oven full of the sauce and the meat. And I think it'd be okay with the amount of sauce I made. Because you're supposed to put sauce and meat in the jars. So I'm going to stir this together. I'm going to put it on my stove. I'm going to bring it to a boil. I'm going to simmer it for 5 minutes, and then we're going to get it canned up. I like sauce, so I think it's going to be great. It's going to be good. Look at that. That looks good already. Because I'm just going to have to do 2 batches of this because my other pork butt is not going to fit in here. So I'll have to end up making 2 batches to use that. Unless I decide not to use it and put it in my smoker tomorrow. I don't know. I haven't decided. Okay, I'll be back when this is ready to be canned. Okay, we are back. I just pulled this off the stove. It's been boiling for 5 minutes. And I think the reason behind doing this is just to make sure everything is hot. So you're doing a hot pack and you're not doing a cold pack. All right, so what I'm going to do, even though I've got wide mouth jars, I'm going to use my canning funnel and see if I can start stuffing this meat down in these jars. You want to get them in here. You want to try to get as many in there as you can without overpacking it. And I think I'm going to have to take something to be able to spoon some extra sauce in there. You know what? I could use my homemade sauce too. A lot of people take something and they'll stick it down in the jar. We don't need to do that. I'll stick a little knife here and just to break my air seal. You don't want it. Man! Okay, so getting my jars filled up, and definitely get a stick a butter knife or something down in here and release those air bubbles. You don't want a lot of air bubbles in your jar. And then I take a wet paper towel and I clean the rims and the threads off my jar. Because see, you don't want any sauce or anything on your threads or your lid. I'm canning up 6 jars because I can fit 6 in my canner. If I wanted to, I could get some of my homemade sauce that's in the refrigerator and already been canned up. And I could actually put extra sauce on them if I want, but I decided not to do that. I'm gonna see how far this sauce gets me, because I doubled the sauce. Sadie, what are you doing? Get your ball out of there. What? There's nothing in there. Your ball's not there. Move. No. Thought her ball was back there, and it was not. All right, so I'm just gonna take. I need more sauce. Take my knife, run it around, make sure there's no air bubbles in there. And then I tap it too. See, there's an air bubble in that one. Just, you don't want air space. You want it to be solid. You don't want to see any air pockets in your jar. That way it leaves more space if you need more sauce. Then you have room to put more sauce. I'm such a messy canner. Everything I do is messy. Kind of got burnt on the bottom a little bit of some of my meat chunks because I had it boiling for 5 minutes. This is the other reason why you want your chunks to be a little smaller, because the bigger your chunks are, the less space you have in your jar. A piece of onion. You don't want to overfill them either, because you gotta have that piece might be a chunk too much. Let me see if I can find a smaller piece. There's a smaller piece. Very important to clean your threads in your lid top, because if you don't, it's not going to seal. It will not seal for you. See how much room I just made by doing that? Took up that extra air space. All right, we're getting there. towel. Okay, one more jar. Okay, now that I got my jars cleaned off, I'm going to go ahead and put my lids on. You're going to center your lid and then stick your ring on, fingertip tight. I washed my jars with really hot water. And my rings and my rims, my lids. I've never centered my lids. She said to make sure you center your lids. Oh, it's still got stuff on it. I know I cleaned that one, so where did the sauce come from? I don't know. I've always just stuck the lid in the ring and then done this. I've never had a problem, but I am the type of canner that I don't take my rings off my jars when they're done. There's a lot of people who can, and when they're done canning, they take the rings off and they store their jars. I don't like doing that because, number one, if something had occurred, you know, you're not going to have a seal on your lid anyway. But mostly I don't like to do that because if I use it and I don't use the whole jar, then you're just sticking the lid on and stick it in your refrigerator and it can just fall off your jar at any moment. If I give it away, I want people to be able to have a ring to hold the lid on if they open it, like if I have salsa or whatever. Okay, so I'm going to bring you over to the canner. I'm going to show you the next step to this process. All of this stuff here is not hard to do. It is time consuming and you definitely have to plan for it. It's not hard. I mean, if I can go back to doing this by memory, that's pretty good. Apparently, I had marked right here with a marker. That's how much water I have to put in there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a mark right there. I must have did that because nobody else would have did that. It had to have been me. Let me get a measuring cup, some water. So that's pretty ingenious. I remember to do that. Somebody did it. I know this canner came from a friend of mine. Years ago, this was her canner. Her husband and I always canned stuff together. We had a ball doing it. That's where I pretty much learned how to can. We were canning everything we could find. We were canning potatoes and meat and tomatoes and corn. We were going to the fields and picking the corn, and oh my gosh, it was just it was fun though. We had a good time. All right, so about 2 inches of water, and you're supposed to throw in a dash of white vinegar. I don't have white vinegar. I have apple cider, so I'm just gonna throw a blurb in there. It keeps your jars clean as you're canning. All right. This canner holds 6 jars. And I put one in the middle. I don't know if you're supposed to. Pretty sure I always did that. Okay. Here is my lid. It has a rubber seal on it. Going to put my lid on. Now this is an old canner. This is a Presto. It's old. I've had it forever. You gotta find, there's a little notch. There. And then you notch it. So you gotta, it notches and then you've got to close it. All right, now what's going to happen is this hole here is going to, this hole is going to steam. And then it's going to come shooting out of here. I mean, like a steady stream of steam. And then after I steam it for 10 minutes, then I will put my 10 pounds pressure on here. See, there's lots of different kinds of canners. This is a Presto pressure canner cooker. I've never cooked in it. I've only canned in it. These are the weights. It has a counterweight right here. This is your counterweight. And then you have, with the 2 of these, it's 10 pounds pressure. And then you get another weight. That's 20 pounds pressure. I have never canned anything that required 20 pounds. Never. It's always been 10 pounds pressure. Even if it says 5 pound, it's always 10 pounds. Unless you're in the mountains or something. So, and it doesn't even say on here because I was trying to remember how much, I had to actually weigh it on my scale. So, the other ones, there's another canner called the Americana canner. It actually has a pressure gauge up here, and then those weights are just one weight. It looks kind of like this, but it's thicker, and each side it has 10 or 20. I don't know how it does that, but anyway, I have the old one, the old standby. So I'm gonna let this get ready to steam. I will bring you back and show you what the steaming process looks like, and then we'll put our weight on there, and then we'll set the timer for the required time, which is process pints jars for 1 hour and 15 minutes, or quart jars at 1 hour and 30 minutes. Medium high steam. Adjust heat to medium high steam vent. Okay, I got it on high, so I'm going to turn it to medium high when it starts to steam. Steam for 10 minutes and 10 pounds pressure. That's it. Weighted for a weighted gauge canner, 11 pounds. Weighted gauge. No, I don't have that. I don't have the weighted gauge. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to let this go, and then once you put this on, this is going to pop up. It's just going to go, and it's going to pop up this little vent thingy. But I'll bring you back when it's ready for that step. Hang tight. This is going to be fun. Okay, here we are. My pot is boiling. See this steam? See that steady stream? We're going to set the timer 10 minutes. And we're going to just let that steam out for 10 minutes. Here's this little rocky thing over here. This little thing, it's going to pop up any minute. Here it goes. See that little thing? Just popped up. That's what that's supposed to do. And this is a steady stream of steam. Let that go 10 minutes. Then we'll put our pressure gauge on. Be right back. Now you can really see the steam coming out. It's really cranking. Alright, we'll be back in 9 minutes. Okay, got 54 seconds to go, and we're going to put our weight on. They're almost ready. Okay, time for the weight to go on. Alright, now that we've got the weight on, the weight is going to start to jiggle. And it's going to jiggle pretty quickly. It's going to start rocking. And it's going to rock pretty good. And what you want to do is you want it to just rock gently. You don't want it to rock hard. You want it to just gently rock back and forth. So that means at that point we need to adjust our time, our temperature. Once it starts to rock and we adjust our temperature, then we set the timer for 1 hour and 15 minutes processing time. I'm going to let that get going and I'll come back. Okay, here we go. It's starting to do the rocking. Starts to rock too fast, I'm going to set my timer for 1 hour and 15 minutes. See, it's rocking at a good pace. Probably can't see it too well. It's rocking at a decent pace right now. But if it starts to go crazy and start to really jiggle fast, then you want to turn your temperature down just a little bit, just to keep this gentle rock. It's starting to get a little fast. It's easier sometimes on a gas stove to control this because you don't want it to slow down too much and you don't want it to rock too hard. So it's a finicky thing. I think right there is a decent speed. Let me set my timer. Yep, I think that's nice. It's just a gentle rock. And that's on number 6. I think this stove might be a little bit easier to use because it's got numbers on the dial, where my old stove just had a dial. I had high, medium, in the middle, and then it had low. Didn't have any numbers, so I was constantly going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it could be a little difficult. But see, just doing a nice gentle rock, not getting too crazy. All right, I'll be back in an hour and 15 minutes. Okay, we have 5 minutes to go on our canner, and it'll be an hour and 15 minutes. And then at that point, I'm going to shut it off, the burner off, and I'm going to just leave it. And I'm going to let this go completely zero pressure. And you'll know that when this little thing falls down, it'll fall down, and there'll be no more air coming out of it. Then you can remove this and then open your lid and then remove your jars. So I just wanted to show you that I have another batch here where I did the second pork butt. I trimmed it. It had more fat on it, so I trimmed it as well. I got another batch of jars right here ready to go. I got probably 2.5 more jars left in my second batch because my canner only fits 6 jars. So I'm not gonna. These are nice and warm. I'm not gonna lid these until I get ready to put them in my canner, because you don't want your lids to start to seal. They won't, and it's weird because the lids, if you put the lids on now, the lids might try to seal, but it needs to be cooked, so it's not going to seal. But I don't want to put my lids on until I get them ready to go in the canner. These are nice and warm because I had my mixture hot, and we'll go with the second batch as soon as this batch is done. I'll be back. Okay, here we are. Pressure is gone off of the pan. The little hammer thing went down. Take off this. There's no pressure left. Undo my lid. Oh, boy, that was tight. When you open your lid, try to open your lid and point back like that, so the steam goes behind you instead of in front of you. Last thing you want to do is get burnt with steam. Alright, where are my grabbers? Okay, I got my jar grabbers. I'm going to take my... There's really no water left down in there. I might have to put... Next time, doesn't that look lovely? That looks good. There is some grease in there. I don't know if my my lids, if I fill them too full maybe? I don't know, because there is some grease in there. It means it splurted out of my jars at some point. So I hope they all seal. See, they're still bubbling away in there. They look great though. I'm going to rinse this out. I'm going to rinse this out, and then I'm going to get it set up for my second batch. So that's it. That is it for barbecue pork, canned in a jar. That looks really good. I hope you can see it as well as I can. I'm going to make labels for these. Looks delish. Oops. Going to make lids or labels for those. And then going to to wait for them all to seal. I'm hoping they're going to seal. So anyway, thank you for joining me. This was a big lesson on canning barbecue pork in my pressure canner, which I remembered to do. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you have not yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. That helps me out. Ring the bell if you want to be reminded and notified when I post another video. And share me out there with your friends. The more shares I get, the better I do. So thank you so much. If you have questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section. And I'll see you next time on another, I should call them, episode of Crocker's Crazy Living. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.